Family and friends of a last Islamic rites for late IGP Job. Police credits Operation Zero Crime for lowering statistics in daily arrest. Former Justice Minister says it was never his intention to enable dictatorship. This and more coming on Gambia 24. Good evening, you're watching Gambia 24 News with me, Mariama Cham, and thanks for joining us. Today marks 40 days since the former Inspector General of Police Mahmoud Joe passed away. The last Islamic rites after his death were offered by family members, friends and cross-section of the community who gathered at his residence in Sinchu Alaji to recite the Holy Quran and prayed for the late IGP. Amanda Ofal sent this report.
As today marks 40 days since the death of the former IGP Mahmoud Job, a Quran recitation was done by his loved ones at his residence in Chinchu Alaji. The death of late IGP Job leaves a void not only in the Job family but to the country at large. Papa Aliou Nyang, a relative to the late Mahmoud Job, described him as an incredible person who was always doing good things to his fellow humans.
Mu nek ko xamne wax deug yalla daf ma
Mahmoud was like a blood brother to me. Whatever occasion we have, he would request for my presence and leave everything in my hands. This child you see standing beside me is the last born, and he named him after his in-law, Alhaji Kebandao, a father to my wife and his wife, Mariam Ndao. Mahmoud was an incredible person, and wherever we are, we will keep talking about him because he was doing good things all along until God took him away. This is why we are never tired talking about his deeds, and wherever we are always praying for him. May Allah have mercy on his soul, grant him the highest place in Jannah.
Imam Haiba Hydra, the Imam of the Banjul International Airline, preached on the importance of doing good deeds as a human.
Almami si setti mama neddo e sare.
Mune imam su sédé nit ci dëkk.
E diine makko.
I won't say much about Alhaji Mahmoud Job because the Imam alone is enough as a witness. If an Imam witnesses someone on the side of truth and deen, whatever someone else say will be considered as a bonus. The gathering, as we've seen since he died to date, shows who Mahmoud Job was. This should be a lesson to everyone present here, because as a human being, you don't know anything what will be said in your absence. And for Mahmoud Job, all we are saying in his absence is the goods he did.
Mr. Job was appointed Inspector General of Police on the 9th July 2018, few days after the resignation of Landing Kinte. The late IGP Job has served in various units of the police force and is said to have been wealthy with vast and rich policing experience. Alhaji Mahmoud Job died on 13th March 2021 after battling a brief illness. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Amendao.
The Executive Secretary of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, Baba Gale Jallow, says the Commission will recommend prosecution of certain individuals to ensure justice for victims. Jallow made these remarks in an exclusive interview with iAfrica TV on Thursday. The Truth Commission is expected to produce a report containing the findings and recommendations when it concludes hearings in July. The document will be submitted to the President for action. We have more in this report by Binta Fati.
The Gambia's Truth Commission is at advanced stage of its public hearings on the gross human rights violations, extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearance of journalists, interference in the justice system, among other issues during Jammeh's era. The Commission is expected to produce a report containing the findings and recommendations when it completes hearing in July. The document that will be submitted to the President will guide the justice and reparation process to ensure national healing. The Executive Secretary of the TRRC, Baba Gale Jallow, said the Commission will recommend for the government to prosecute individuals who were more responsible for violations of fundamental human rights of victims.
Certainly, the role of the TRRC is to, after exploring, identifying all kinds of human rights abuses, to make recommendations to the government that, you know, certain individuals who were more responsible for these human rights violations need to be prosecuted. And the TRRC is going to make those recommendations. We will certainly recommend that some people be prosecuted, and that could be some form of justice for the victims.
Jallow said the commission is helping victims who need medical assistance and scholarships. According to him, prosecution of perpetrators and executing institutional reforms will be left to the government to act on the recommendations given to them.
As far as prosecutorial justice is concerned, taking people to court, that would be left to the government to do. And I believe they should do it. I believe that the Gambian people should insist that the recommendations of prosecutions that will come out of the TRRC are implemented by the government.
The Truth Commission revealed several human rights violations, including extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearance of victims, as well as journalists, among a host of violations on the fundamental human rights of victims. TRRC was established by an Act of Parliament to investigate and establish an impartial historical record of human rights violations, but to also consider reparations for victims of abuses, promote reconciliation, and a non-reoccurrence. For Africa TV News, I am Binta Fati.
The program manager of the trachoma disease at the Ministry of Health, Sadio Kani, has told iAfrica TV that the country is well prepared to tackle the reoccurrence of trachoma and other neglected tropical diseases. This comes following World Health Organization's confirmation for the elimination of trachoma as a public problem in the Gambia, becoming the second country in the sub-Saharan Africa to register such a milestone. Necessary reports.
Trachoma is the world's leading cause of infectious blindness and is part of a group of conditions known as neglected tropical disease. According to the Health Ministry, the elimination of trachoma as a public health problem in the Gambia is a significant contribution towards the attainment of the National Development Plan and the Sustainable Development Goals. The program coordinator of trachoma disease at the Health Ministry, Sadio Kani, said the country is ready to tackle the resurgence of trachoma and other neglected tropical diseases.
Level of eye care delivery in the Gambia is at 3 levels. One, in the community, we have the village health workers, we have the nyateros, we also have the community-based champions. These are there to provide awareness, to provide information and education about eye health, and also to provide refer patients to the community. We've been also collaborating with the traditional practitioners. As you know, in the villages, most of the point of call for many people is the traditional practitioners. What we did was to collaborate with these traditional practitioners. At the end of the day, we've seen them referring patients to the hospital. We've also used the traditional communicators, the kanyalangos, in the community to spread eye health messages to the people. So all this played a very important part. And as I'm talking to you now, we have 24 primary centers in the Gambia where ophthalmic nurses are based. Their role is to be able to see eye patients and also conduct simple minor operations like lid surgery. In the 7 health regions, we have 7 secondary eye units which are manned by cataract surgeons, and their role is to ensure that their role is not only based at the facility but also responsible for the eye health of the region. And all referrals of these patients come down to Seaside, which is the main tertiary center. So we have the infrastructure, we have the capacity, we have the human sources. All what we need is more support for this trachoma surveillance.
Mr. Kani explained the risk factors of the disease on patients who suffered from trachoma, saying women and children are more vulnerable to the disease.
The patients, first of all, they will complain of, as I told you, it starts with simple conjunctivitis. If it is not treated, repeated infection leads to trachoma. They will have red eyes, they will have discharges, they have tearing eyes, they have irritations, they find it very difficult to walk even under the sun. This happens in children. As they grow older, what happens is there is scarring of the eyelids, the eyelashes, instead of turning outside, they are turning inwards, rubbing against the cornea. So if we don't do the correction, what will happen at the end of the day? They will end up having a ruptured globe and the patient will lose the sight. So basically, these are the complications that patients suffer from trachoma. So with proper treatment, you can stop the infection and also correct the inturning eyelashes. Instead of rubbing on the eyeball, you can correct the situation. So the patients will not suffer from that blindness complication.
Trachoma is the disease of the eye. caused by infection with the bacteria Chlamydia trachomatis. The disease is a public health problem in 44 countries and is responsible for the blindness of about 1.9 million people, according to the WHO. A March 2020 data appear to show that 137 million people living in trachoma endemic areas are at high risk of blindness. Trachoma disease has been an epidemic for the Gambia, and the fight against the disease began decades ago. In 1986, a medical survey found that trachoma was the third leading cause of blindness in the Gambia. However, the Ministry of Health described the elimination of the disease in a press statement on Tuesday as a milestone which resulted from a strong partnership that supported the implementation of the Gambia Trachoma program. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am DCC.
That story by DCC will take us to a quick break, and we'll be right back with the rest of the news. Stay with us.
coono di dem dëkk ba dëkka rawatina ba foofa ca Sénégal pour jëndi daal jeex na fii ci biir réew mi ak Stroll Company sa jaaxle jeex na waaw dineen defar bépp xeeti daal te itam dinay dégee rafet ci ay njëkk yu yomba compagnie bi lee di Stroll dineen la defaral daala aso bi fekkee ne danga nekk ci political party bugga nga nuroo leeg say waay ngay dem foofa ca Stroll Company yi daal di la defaral daala bu dëgër baax te rafet moo xam itam danga am xew bugga sa yére nuroog sa daala demal seeti ñii di Stroll Company te emuñ ci loolu dineen la defaral sa daala si saasi boo demee ñi nata la nga toog wax leen li nga bëgga ñi defaral la ko te itam dineen defar daala si wholesale wala retail seeti leen foofa sa Suncu Alaaji te nag lu ci gën a neex mooy doomi Gambian moo ko moom teg ci di dimbale ay ndaw pour ñi am fu ñuy xëyee seeti leen foofa ca Suncu Alaaji ca Kunkujang Johnson boo demee rek di nga gis seen table nga daal di leen dem seeti sa xol nee nga am sa daale boo yàggami bét mun ngaa nemmeeku seen website bi si www.strollshops.com wala nga oo ñu si 7473692 wala 7150195 ak Stroll Company sa jaaxle jeex na ci dem beeg dëkk bi ci daala kese.
Welcome back, and still on Gambia 24. The Public Relations Officer of the Gambia Police Force is of the view that the rate of crimes is taking a downturn after the Operation Zero Crime Patrol team was launched. The joint security operation has effected the arrest of more than 400 suspected criminals in different parts of the Greater Banjul areas and the West Coast region in the month of April. Fatmata Kasim has the rest of that.
About 200 from the list of suspected criminals were discharged for not having connection with any crime, leaving 200 more in police custody since the launch of the operation targeting criminal hideouts. Relying on the daily statistics of this arrest, police spokesperson Superintendent Lamin Jai noted that crimes are noticeably going down.
Well, using the figures that we have been registering from the beginning of the Operation Zero, you will realize that as we continue, the figures were dropping. It went to a point, in fact, in West Coast region, we patrol.
In ending his testimony at the commission, Mr. Mbai says laws made to violate rights of people are bad laws. He reveals that he wanted to see a country where laws would be practiced, and
about 200 from the list of suspected criminals were discharged for not having connection with any crime.
It was this conviction that made him join the council and not to aid authoritarianism.
That the initial intentions of the members of the AFPRC were also well-meaning for the nation.
Discharged for not having connection with any crime.
It was never my intention to enable a dictatorship, either wittingly or unwittingly.
Musutaneka suma kene puru matahawal nguri jay dole yegna ko yeguma ko wala xamna ko wala xam xawma ci dara lolu nekuton suma kene pour taxawal nguri jay dole.
Far from it.
Dafa sori lolu sax.
I was not the architect of the decrees referred to since then.
Man
since the proceedings of the commission.
Mbai, who served as an advisor to the council, says the difference in background he had with the council members was an obstacle to his job, noting that he had much more stake for the maintenance of law.
We are sorry for that, and still with the news. Former Attorney General and Minister of Justice Fafa Idris Sambai has told the Commission that he accepted the offer to work with the council because he was patriotic and wanted a greater good for his country, but not to enable dictatorship. According to him, the idea he had for better Gambia has surpassed that of the council, and that made work difficult for him. Omar Ture reports.
Minister of Justice, in ending his testimony at the Commission.
We are really sorry for that, and that will bring us to the end of Gambia 24. I am Mariama Chang. Thanks for watching, and good night.
Star GSM Electronics. Special Ramadan promotion starting from April 4th to 15 on all our Sloster home appliances such as two-way gas cooker, microwaves, washing machines, stand fan rechargeable that can last for 8 hours, different stand freezers, deep freezers from 140 to 400 liters, blenders,